Good afternoon.
Pre-game afternoon skates.
Yeah, it's different start time, isn't it, Jim? Hey?
What is that like when they're playing it? They're literally going to drop a puck at 10-9 tonight. What does it do for a coach? What does that mean?
I think you just adjust your day. You adjust your day when your meeting times are, when your pregame skate is, and it's the same for both teams. So we'll be ready.
Jay, your team hasn't started on time as much as you'd like. Will a late start benefit you?
In terms of
Being ready, like to start the game. You guys haven't come out, Evander, and talked about it, Duncan. Obviously, starts haven't been your forte.
yeah,
Too often.
in the playoffs here you're talking about. In the last two in the previous series, I thought we started really well. Yeah, I mean we're counting on a response and counting on being on our toes right off the bat. Sure.
Those two games were legit must-win games. The desperation was there and the execution was there. Is that just what's been lacking in the other games? Is it just a sense of urgency from your team to start?
Well, I don't. Rephrase that question. Sorry.
So those two games that you started very well, and I agree, those were must-win games because if you lose, you're out. So there was obviously a lot of urgency there. Is that what's been lacking from your team in the other games that you haven't started
No,
well?
I don't think so. I think there's the other team gets a say as well sometimes. Certainly, we want to assert our game on the other team right off the bat. We start with a certain type of plan, and we want to be on our toes and not on our heels. But other teams do some good things as well, Jason. I think making sure we're ready to go. There's a collective responsibility, but also an individual responsibility as well.
With your lineup, and I know you're probably not going to give us any details here, we get that, but an instinct to maybe make some changes, but at the same time your group responds well when they don't play good. So what's the balance there in that decision making for you, of shaking it up versus giving the guys another run at it?
Yeah, I think it's a balancing act, like you said, because you want to show confidence in your team and your players, but at the same time, you understand, and this goes to what Jason was saying, you understand that each game is important, and we don't have a lot of time in order to wait for people to find their games. So for us, we're trying to make the best decisions possible. You're right, I'm not going to give you much in terms of details. But in terms of trying to ice a lineup that best suits us to win, we're confident in the people that we will dress.
Based on what you showed this morning, I mean, it looks like maybe some people get the tap to get out there and get going again. Is this
You're not going off what we showed in morning skate, are you?
Yeah, well, we're still still figuring that out with you a little bit. But I guess what I'm getting at is, you feel like you're going to need a fulsome lineup here to be able to compete in this series, like to be able to lean on lines 3, lines 4, and this can't necessarily be as top heavy.
Well, I think we've gotten really good contribution. We're at where we're at because we have a lot of really good hockey players. We came through a really grinding first round series because we have a lot of really good hockey players, people that found ways to make contributions up and down the lineup, whether they're the leading scorer in the National Hockey League or somebody who played 6 or 7 minutes. They all found a way to impact the game and impact our team. That's why, as I said, that's why we're here. We're a good team. We believe in our players, and we think we have a lot of really, really good options for us.
So what do you weigh when you have players that were playing but aren't playing, like Fogle and Devon Shore and stuff, as opposed to your best prospect like a Dylan Holloway, who you brought up, and he's your best prospect? Do you say to yourself, if I'm going to make lineup changes, it has to be with the guys who are here, as opposed to a raw rookie?
Well, Ryan said you guys are still trying to figure me out on some
skate,
things.
that's
Yeah, he was out there last morning skate as well, and they both came up at the same time. We've had some people come up from Bakersfield and that have joined our morning skates. For me, the one thing I would say is that I'm open-minded and flexible. We're trying to ice the best lineup possible. Fortunately for me, I have a really good understanding of what the players that we brought up from Bakersfield can bring to the table. I've seen it in the American Hockey League, but I've also seen a lot of them in the National Hockey League as well.
You got some really good contribution from Puljujärvi at times during the year since you arrived. Do
Yep.
you sense in his game that he's on the cusp of contributing a little more
Yeah,
meaningfully?
I thought
that
he
way?
had he had some things that he can build on in his game that he showed in game number one. He had some, some rushes up the ice. He had some opportunities around the net. He's somebody, you're right, we've gotten really good contributions from him, and we're going to need him as we go forward here.
Jay, in speaking to Mike Smith yesterday, the main premise of what he was relaying was forget it and move on. In your time here with the Oilers since February, how would you evaluate his ability to bounce back after a tough start?
Yeah, I have nothing but respect for Mike, his approach to the game, his ability to park performance that he'd rather have a do-over on, those type of things. For me, I think it's the same for our team. Our team has to learn some lessons that we saw in game number one. We've addressed that, and we know we'll be a little bit better here tonight.
If we go back to game 2 against LA, you were down 1-0 in this series. Your top players were very physical that night. It seemed to be contagious, and your players were feeding off it.
Yep.
Is that something that you look for tonight, but also within the team identity, right?
Yeah.
You still have to be who you are.
Yeah, we want to be who we are. We want to play towards our identity. We don't want to be out of character. We would, for us, we measure physicality in different ways. Calgary's type of physicality might be a little bit different than Edmonton's type of physicality. For us, we have things that we look towards that we think will help us give us a better chance to win. And if I was going back to review that game number one, I would say to a man, every one of us can be better, all of us. And that's where we put our focus here.
So along those lines, Calgary in game 1 wasn't afraid to put a glove in McDavid's face. Lucic rocked him pretty good. As a coach,
Connor handled it pretty good, eh? Didn't he lead our team in finished checks?
how would you like your team to react
And he
to
had
that?
4 points that night. Sorry?
How would you like your team to react when the other team's leaning on them?
How would I like our team to react? I want our team to play hard. I want us to find a way to win a game, Spec. That's where our focus is. We want to make sure that we're doing things that are going to allow us to win the game. And playing out of character is not something that we're going to do. We would like to see our level of discipline apply to our systemic, our system, our system play, our physicality to show up in our system play, whistle to whistle, and we'll let the referees do their job. Our job is to make sure that we're playing the game hard, and we're confident if we do, we'll be in a good spot.
Last game, the first time in a long while where your power play, you looked at your power play and says, oh, this isn't helping us out tonight. Usually, even though you're struggling, you can count on your power play. And that was much evident last game.
I would say that our power play last game was symptomatic of our entire team game. It can be better. Just like every individual can be better, our special teams can be better. Our penalty kill gave up one. Power play didn't find a way to get one.
Jay, I know this might be difficult to answer, but Darnell Nurse, obviously you guys relied on him a ton. Since you've come in, he played huge minutes against the other team's best player. His minutes are down. He's clearly fighting through something. How do you balance when you know you've got a key player, but an injury is limiting him to do exactly what he wants? Do you have to maybe alter, and is there, last game I know you used Kulak a bit with CC. Is that something you look at more to benefit Nurse because he's not 100%?
I think if you watched last game, you would see that most things got jumbled up. People were moved around the chessboard all around. Darnell's a healthy and available player to us, and you talk about someone with a champion's mindset, a true warrior. That's Darnell Nurse.
So if he's healthy, then do you need to play him closer to the minutes you played him at in the regular season?
Potentially. Good, thanks guys.
Chip.